Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome along to the SCE Live Podcast. My name is Sam, and as always, it wouldn't be a SCE Live Podcast if it didn't have my trusted friend and podcast sidekick, Mr. Chris Varnes.
Hey, how are you?
I'm all right, mate. Are you?
I'm all right. I'm a bit chirpy tonight. We've got a lovely fella on.
We have
tonight. He's gonna have a nice chat.
Should we get him straight in? We usually have a little talk, but I think we just get straight to it.
No. I've got to talk about something that I've seen the other day. Well, yesterday.
Go on, then.
What have you booked? What have you been booking?
Booking holidays, because there's a light at the end of the tunnel. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. Unbelievable. I mean, this announcement for us as a company, us as human beings, to be able to look forward to dates. It's fantastic news, isn't it, Chris?
And what have you? No, I'm more interested in it. But what have you booked?
Well, all of our hundreds and thousands of followers won't want to know that I'm gonna be in Disneyland next year. Actually, I need to say it again because it's not Disneyland. Rachel will kill me. Rachel's a big Disney fan. It's Disney World. Sorry, Disney World. Disney World.
Yes, it's Disney World. Because Paris is Paris Disneyland, or is that just Disneyland Paris?
I'm just going with the flow at the minute.
She's very excited.
Very excited. She goes every year, and obviously due to COVID, she couldn't go last year. So we've decided to book it because why not? You know, things are opening up. We need to look forward to something. You know, international travel. Hopefully in a couple of months' time. Let's look forward to it. I'm happy. I'm excited. I need to get saving money. Put it that way.
Well, we better get some gigs in. That's all I'm saying.
We do. Guys, make sure you do follow our social media. Make sure you follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We streamlined all of our social medias, as some of you well know. So all you have to do is just go and search for SCE Live. That is the most simplest way on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Spotify. I'm tempted to throw Twitch into this as well, Chris.
Oh, I've got a bit of a twitch in my shoulder. That's the only twitch I'm dealing with.
And that's not the only dad joke you're going to get tonight, folks. I can assure you that. That's not the only joke. Well, let's get our guest for this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, it's George King. Hey!
Hey!
How are you doing, George?
How are you?
I'm all good. Yeah, really good. Nice to see you both. Not done any of these before.
Have you never done any podcasts before? Nothing like this ever?
No, never. I've heard they're kind of all the rage as of lockdown last year.
Yeah,
everyone seems to be doing a podcast. I mean, we jumped on the bandwagon because we saw all the artists doing sort of these live streams, and the initial idea was to get everyone on our books to come along and do a slot, you know, put down their PayPal link, raise some money for charities, which we did do. We raised some money for the St Andrews community, which was great. A couple of £100, which was fantastic. But we felt like it was a bit too repetitive, and obviously the technology side and getting everyone involved and sort of passwords, and I'm reluctant to give out my phone number, never mind, you know, my password for stuff. So we thought the podcast would be good because if they want to sing, they can come on and sing. They can also talk about their career. They can talk about absolutely anything they want. So but we are going to touch upon you as an individual as well, George. But start us off with Paul McCartney, because that is the person that you do a tribute for. What's your first memory of Paul?
Interesting. So it's weird, the tribute thing, because just before we get into that, because I'm really cautious about calling myself a tribute, just because I'm so obsessed with the Beatles and going to see bootleg Beatles and the really big bands, and maybe I'm doing myself a disservice or something, but I'm kind of like working up to being able to give myself the tribute name. At the moment, I'm kind of like a freelance Paul, right? So I play in Beatles tribute bands in the UK, and you kind of just jump in any band as long as you know the set, that kind of thing. So appreciate you calling me that. That's great. But I definitely always kind of shudder when someone says that. Cause am I actually good enough? Do I deserve that name? But yeah, working towards it, I suppose. So yeah, first memory of Paul. I don't really know. My dad had me listening to Beatles like literally since I was a child. So I would probably say even before Beatles, I was hearing kind of Flowers in the Dirt around the house, because that's like an early 90s McCartney record. So, I'm 31, so I was born 89. So I reckon my earliest memory of McCartney was probably that album, to be honest. And my dad singing My Brave Face and around the house. My dad's got the genes, you see. He's the spitting image of Paul McCartney. So, it was kind of with me from as soon as I could listen to music, really.
What your dad looks like him?
Oh my God, ridiculous. We went to we've been to quite a few McCartney shows, but there's one particular one in about 10 years ago, and there was just kind of these Chinese people pointing at him, going, "It's Paul, it's Paul." I was like, "It's not." It's my dad. So my dad's always been a massive McCartney fan, and he literally is a spit. Even when he was younger as well, if you look at his early photos, it could be McCartney, in his heyday in the Wings. So yeah.
No way. See, if Sam knows me, if I look like Paul McCartney, I'd be using that to my advantage everywhere. Everywhere. Tourists, everything. I'd be all over that like a shot. At the gigs, just standing by the side, signing a few autographs.
Listen, you've got to make an earning during this last year.
Well, exactly. And if he sounds like him again, he could have gone in Stars in Their Eyes years ago.
Remember Stars in Their Eyes? Wow.
Stars in Their Eyes, remember it? Singing Live Tonight.
Yeah, no, he's done it. He was my dad's a musician, but kind of a campfire acoustic musician, knows a few open chords, but he's a left-handed guitar. He's left-handed as well, naturally. Unfortunately, I didn't inherit that gene, otherwise I could have.
So your dad looks like Macca, and he'd be in the perfect tribute across the country. Oh.
I know, it's mad. I think he kicks himself sometimes because, he's in his 60s now.
Well, Macca's been, to be fair though, everyone's saying online life, and Macca's been a bit proactive in the last year, hasn't he? He's always on Instagram doing something. He's done a few TV things, and he's released a new album as well. So he has been busy, Macca. So at his age, it's kind of, he's got involved with getting things out there, which I think is fantastic.
Absolutely. What did you think of the album anyway?
Well, we were talking about this, me and Sam, before. It's typical Macca, isn't it? It's a bit like, oh, that's a bit interesting, and then it's a bit, oh, that's typical Macca, and then it's just like completely, where's this come from kind of Macca.
Yeah.
And I think that works. I think that's why McCartney has gone on for so long, because he's not afraid to try something new or test a different way of looking at something. Or what do you think of it?
Yeah, I mean, I've got this battle, I suppose, because I respect everything that McCartney does. But have I truly really enjoyed anything since Chaos in Creation? Probably not. And I'm not being, everything that Macca releases I'll buy straight away and I'll listen to. Yeah, it's good, and it's great. It's great that he's still releasing music, and I'll lap up anything that he releases, and I'll go see him every time he tours. But I think the last thing that he released that was really I really took to was probably Chaos and Creation, which early noughties. But no, there's a few really good moments on it. I particularly like the Kiss of Venus, that little kind of acoustic number. That's very kind of Beatles-esque, but yeah, it's good. He's nearly 80 years old. He's releasing music, so fair play to him. And it's all good songwriting. So yeah, I love it.
Do you think he rides the wave of past success for these new albums, or do you think he doesn't? Obviously, he doesn't care. He's just releasing. He's a songwriter, isn't he? And he just likes writing and he just likes performing. But do you think if it was truly critiqued his albums, do you think?
I honestly couldn't say. Like he's got a cult following, hasn't he? People are just gonna follow McCartney forever, and we'll miss him when he's gone. And he's just, in terms of the person, is McCartney ever been in the paper for being a horrible person? All he's done is being, Mr. Nice Guy music, and wrote some of the best songs ever, and consistently throughout his career. So, I'm going to dodge any kind of minor criticism of McCartney and move to the next question.
And he's vegan as well, don't forget that.
Yeah, of course.
Mr. Nice Guy can write a good, the best pop songs and vegan on top of that. So, yeah. Obviously going back to, I know you wanted to sway away from the tribute stuff, but the question that I had in my mind was, a tribute for someone that's lived that long, to be a tribute as well. My question to you would be, when you're going out and into these Beatles bands, obviously he's not going to live forever. What part of his career do you think the majority of the tributes will be going out as? Obviously you've got the I know the answer to the question essentially, but it would be the beginning sort of Beatles Fab Four phase. But do you think he has got that longevity of being able to be people going out as tribute post the Fab Four?
Yeah, that's a tough question, because for me, in my head, being a huge McCartney fan, I would say absolutely. Some of my, this might be blasphemy what I'm about to say now, but some of my best McCartney stuff is post Beatles. So I mean, in terms of when he's gone and the demand for it, I mean, some kind of Wings Over America, UK tribute. I mean, as a McCartney fan, that would be something I would really love to see. But I don't know, it's really hard. I don't know how many people are into the Wings stuff. I don't know how many people like McCartney post Beatles, but I think pretty consistently since every single decade he's released something amazing. So there'd be enough there to cover and to put on a good show. I saw the Macca show actually a couple of years ago, and it was, what was his name, Manny, who did the Let It Be musical and stuff. I think he's Italian. He's really good. He did the Let It Be show, and I think it was the cast of the Let It Be show that did the Macca show as a spin-off. It was amazing. It was just like he covered everything, like from early. There's some Beatles stuff thrown in there, and it kind of went right up to McCartney solo stuff. But there's a good mix of Wings, and there's a few costume changes. So, yeah, if anything, I think there'll be more demand for it in years to come, as long as people keep listening to the Beatles, which I'm sure they will.
Yeah.
Well, you've got the hair, you've got the look. You'd have to get maybe a wig for the Wings repertoire. It went a bit long. You didn't know if it was Linda or Macca at some point. Well, no, when you start off and you decide I'm going to become a tribute, obviously you've got to have slightly look and sound like the person, obviously. But did you learn all the songs, or did you study the mannerisms? What was the first thing you did?
I mean, what got me into doing the Beatles stuff, because I was always a huge Beatles fan. I could always play Beatles songs, but I kind of obsessed over McCartney more than anything. I liked the Beatles, but I was particularly interested in Paul. And obviously, I've been going to see bootlegs since I was a nipper, since I was kind of 9 years old. So I said to my wife at one point, I said, do you reckon I could do this? And the first thing I did was kind of start learning all the songs on bass. I've always played bass. It's been my second instrument. I'm actually a guitarist first. And look, I'm a junior. I'm a rookie compared to most of the guys out there doing the Beatles stuff, and it's still early days for me. But the first thing that I did was learn all of the songs right-handed, right? And interestingly, I started going out with a band that gave me a bit of a trial. It's a guy that I know called Simon, who runs a band, and I do pretty much most of these gigs unless I've got a gig elsewhere with another band. And I started gigging, and funny enough, I went out I kind of learnt the set, which is your basic Beatles set when you go out and play these gigs. Is kind of two halves, 2 45-minute sets, a mix of the early stuff with the Black Chesterfields, and then you put the Shays on and you do right up until I don't know, Abbey Road. So I learnt about 30 songs for this first set, and I kind of was really confident. Yeah, I've smashed it. And I played with somebody, my third gig, and he said to me, I'm not going to name and shame, because I'm actually a good friend of his now, and I really like his stuff. Mm-hmm. He basically kind of taught me a new one and said, George, you don't know the bass lines. Like you're missing this part, you're missing this bit. And I kind of took a step back and went, oh, shit, I really need to kind of think about the finer details of the Beatles stuff, because I kind of was so eager to get out. I kind of learnt everything a little bit and just went out and gigged and then played with someone really experienced, had been doing the Beatles stuff for years now, and he kind of politely told me, actually, you need to go away, learn this stuff. So it kind of knocked me back a bit. So I didn't stop doing it. I just kind of took some time out, relearned all of the songs, went through the songs with a fine-tooth comb, and it was then I started realizing, Jesus, I'm actually playing this wrong. How I need to go. And it was a real a moment for me where I thought, okay, I need to stop accepting gigs, because the last thing I want to do is go out and people think I'm rubbish and not use me as their McCartney, right? So I had to kind of reset. And obviously lockdown happened last year, and that's when the left-handed thing came into it. So to be honest with you, I've just put so much time into learning the parts to the record, isolating the bass parts on YouTube, making sure I've got all the little nuances on in the bass, and that's just a bass. The harmonies are the next thing, which is even more challenging. So yeah, started off, probably went out a bit too early, but got the experience, realised that I had to go and learn all the parts a lot more accurately, and now I'm at the point where I can play left-handed, and that comes just being at home, obsessing. Literally 2 hours a night I spent with my left-handed bass, just trying to get my head around it, and it took me just over a year. So
Wow.
yeah, I'm in a good place now, but I'm still a rookie,
But you need that dedication to start you off. I think you can't just, as you said, you played gigs and then a few things went wrong, but that's with everything with music. I've always said to Sam, how many gigs is it before you get it right, Sam? What have I always said
10.
to you? 10. I always say to the band, it's going to take 10 gigs to get this right.
Yeah.
And it took us 12.
Yeah.
No, but
it does. I mean, if there's ever any new member or new song, it takes about 10. It takes about 10 tries.
10 goes to get it right, and fair cop, because it takes proper dedication to learn the bass lines alone. Because I play the bass in our band, and some of it you kind of just you get to a point that it's going to sound good, but to play exactly what McCartney was doing is an art in itself, because his bass techniques are very, very tough. He didn't just play he was playing melodies through the songs, which is his style, isn't it? And then obviously you say getting the harmonies with Lennon and Harrison is the next phase. So Sam, you teach singing. Is harmony the hardest thing to teach and learn?
It is. You've got to be on it. You've got to obviously practice. Practice makes perfect. I mean, George has practiced 2 hours every day over lockdown, and now he's able to play bass, the left hand. Like, that blows my mind. Like, so fair play to you, George, to be able to do that. But yeah, it's practice. It's practice. You've got to practice all the time. I think there is an element of it's in you as well. Like, you can, not that you're born with it, but kind of like you are musical from a young age, and you're able to hear, call and response stuff. So I think it's also in you as well. But it's not stopping from people from learning as well. I mean, there's plenty of YouTube tutorials out there for pitch and for harmony as well. So I'd encourage anyone who's wanting to work on their harmony to go look on YouTube and look on any exercises to do with pitch, harmony. It's just being able to block everyone out and just focus on yours. I think it's muscle memory at the end of the day, just to be able to sort of imprint that, your line, and just go, see you later. Not thinking about any other harmony line. So yeah.
Because when we're playing we're playing our shows, you and Jess, who plays the keys for us, you're always talking about your harmonies, aren't you, Sam? Where Max and I, because I'm the bass, and Max, we're talking about right drum and bass. Jack's just playing solos in his head somewhere. So
no, it's true. I mean, there's got to be that right balance. Absolutely, there's got to be a right balance. I mean, we right before every gig starts, we always check mic levels, because at the end of the day, the harmony is just as important as the lead vocal. If you can't hear the harmony vocal, what's the point? And there's been a few occasions where, not naming anyone, but harmony vocals have been lowered, and you're like, come on, that's the juicy part. You want to hear that. I also want to ask George, did you find yourself doing, other, menial things with your left hand? Like, did you start chopping with your left hand, like when you were cooking food, or were you starting to write? Like, were there any other things that you would do around the house during lockdown with your less dominant hand?
Yeah, that's really interesting, because the first thing I did before I wanted to learn left-handed was reach out and ask some Beatles that have done it, because what you probably don't know is most McCartneys that are playing in Beatles bands probably have relearned left-handed as well.
Yeah.
It didn't used to be a problem, but being a right-handed thing now is just so restricting. The punters want that kind of that Beatles image, and they want anyway. So yeah, I went and asked a couple of Beatles that I know have been in the Beatle world for a while doing it, and I got some really good advice. So brushing your teeth with your left hand, spreading your butter with your left hand, that type of thing. I started doing that, but I just got really impatient. I thought, I can't commit to this. Like, doing the bass guitars enough, but trying to brush my teeth and butter bread with my left hand is just too much. So I just all I did was just relentless left-handed playing, like, until it hurt, until I was just like, because the weirdest thing when you first do it, even putting the bass guitar on the other way around is just weird. You can't really put the bass on. Like, oh, hang on. It's so odd. So, and then slowly things just started to, this feels normal now. I'll put in the jack lead and the bass feels natural. Don't get me wrong, I'm still doing it, not 2 hours a night, but I've still got a while to go. I'm simplifying bass lines and certain songs, only the odd one now. I'm kind of getting there. But when I first picked it up, I was like, how the hell am I going to play Day Tripper left-handed? Like, that is just ridiculous. But now Day Tripper's okay, and I can play Day Tripper to the record, but it's stuff like Saw Us Standing There, which, I do cheat a little bit. I'm kind of like boom, boom, dun 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 dun, rather than dun 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 dun. So, once it's in the mix, you don't really notice anyway. But the aim is to eventually get there. But if you came and saw a band that I played with, a Beatles band, and I saw Us Standing There, you probably wouldn't notice that much. But eventually, I want to kind of get away from all that and be able to play every bass line, to the record left-handed. But it's just the rhythmic stuff, like, I can alternate pick now left-handed, and that took a while to get there. But without alternate picking, you're screwed, really, because how are you going to play a lot of the bass lines? So yeah, I didn't no tricks really, just relentless practice. I just tend to be, when I want to do something, I'm a bit obsessive over it, so that helped.
Have you tried? What is it like when you play your bass right now? Is it weird? Is it weird?
Yeah. Well, to be honest, I try and avoid playing my right hand, even if I'm recording, doing some songwriting at home. I pick up my Rickenbacker and just do it left-handed, because as soon as you get into the habit of playing right-handed bass, I don't know, I just worry that I would start losing a bit of that muscle memory. But the acoustic guitar I'm still doing Yesterday and Blackbird and stuff right-handed. So
is that the next phase? Is that this then, playing the guitar left-handed?
Probably, yeah. I mean, I suppose it's important for those two songs if you're going to do theatres and stuff. But does it matter? Do those two songs matter? Probably to a lot of the Beatles fans, yeah. So I probably will attempt to try and nail those.
And the keys, do you tinker around on the keyboard?
Yes, I play all the keys. I'm not a trained piano player at all, but I write most of my songs on piano. I know where all my chords and my major and minor triads are. So yeah, that's no problem. I kind of do Hey Jude, Let It Be, Long and Winding Road, Lady Madonna, and they're the big ones you need to know, really. Apart from that, Lennon does a lot of the keys through the Sgt. Pepper's era and stuff. So Macca's got an easy job keys-wise, I think.
Pretty well. The thing with Macca, though, he in the albums, he was so versatile, and he developed as a musician throughout. You can hear his playing, it develops, and obviously he became a better piano player. His bass lines were a little bit more crazy as the career went on. Do you think just constantly playing was the best thing that ever happened to him? Just playing Hamburg, just learn, like you've kind of done, just learn the instrument as you're gigging.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a bit of a rare rarity when it comes to musicians. I mean, you can't read music, but if you see him play piano, I've never seen anybody play piano that can't read music like Paul McCartney can. He's just incredible. I think he's just got a ridiculous knack for songwriting and melody, and I think that's where McCartney took me more than Lennon did, because I appreciate Lennon, but I've never stuck on an album post Beatles and been like, oh yeah, I love this. But McCartney really grabs me because I think all of his stuff's really melodic. All his bass lines are really melodic. His voice is just really melodic, and it's got so many different ranges. So yeah, I don't know how he got so good. Honestly, don't. Maybe going back to what Sam said, maybe some people are just kind of born with it. I don't know, but he certainly got it.
Have you ever been to in Liverpool? You can go and visit his childhood home, Forthen Road, is it, Sam? And I've been a few times, and they apparently used to practice in the bathroom or the toilet or something, and because the acoustics were the best in there, so we used to practice his harmonies and his playing his instrument in the his guitar in the toilet, which it's great. But I think when they went to Lennon's house, they used to do it in the porch because Aunt Mimi wouldn't let them play in the house, so they used to sit.
Yeah.
She used to sit them in the porch and used to tinker in the porch with. But it's a great build. The house is fab because it's exactly as it was when he kind of left.
Yeah. Is that National Trust? Because I was looking into that.
It's National Trust. Yeah, it's National
Right.
Trust. We had Jackie on earlier last year, didn't we, Sam?
Yep.
Who does the Beatles tours around Liverpool, and there's loads of different tours. You've got like the Beatles taxis. You've got independent ones. You've got the Magical Mystery Tour bus. There's a Rolls Royce driving around Liverpool sometimes as well, the yellow one, doing the tours. So there's plenty, but yeah, they're all starting to get recognised on the National Trust. So you can. Hopefully they'll preserve them forever because they're part of Liverpool history as well. Have you done any of the Liverpool tours with the Beatles?
Well, it's been on our Beatle weekend has been something I've always wanted to do. Never done it. We were booked to go to Liverpool last year. I was booked to play a gig at the Hard Days Night Hotel last year with a Beatles band. Obviously, it all got cancelled. So no, I always ask myself this question: why have I never been? Because I've seen McCartney so many times, but I've never been to Liverpool to do all the Beatles stuff. So it's top of my list, really. There's a John Lennon suite in the Hard Days Night Hotel with the white piano. That really intrigues me. Look, it'd be a real shame if I don't get to play the Cavern one day with the Beatles band or a McCartney show. That's kind of the dream, I suppose.
Up where I live in Woolton. It's by the church where John and Paul first met. It's at the top of the road, and the graves in the cemetery in St. Peter's Church. It's like Mr. Mackenzie, and behind it is Eleanor Rigby. So
nice.
You can just kind of, when you do the tours, you can kind of think, wow, was he looking at the graves and writing down names, or did you just remember them? It's because Eleanor Rigby was a little bit later on. What was it, 65, 66 or something like that, was it?
Yeah, Revolver was the same.
So he'd probably been left Liverpool for a number of years after that, but he still remembered the names of certain things, which is, I find great, especially like to Penny Lane when he mentions the certain shops and barbers, and so it never kind of left him. But he is always knocking around Liverpool, especially Lipper, because he's involved in the college, which Sam you work in.
Yep. We've had a green light as well for the 4 to 19 classes to come back in April, so that's fantastic news. Get to teach the kids again. So I mean, they'll be made up as well. I mean, these poor kids have been stuck inside for the past what feels like forever for them. Couple of months. But I'm really happy that they've got something to look forward to. The singing, the dancing, the acting. It's all stuff that I grew up doing, and it's stuff that I want to do later on in my life. So if I can inspire these kids to go on to do whatever, just to be who they are, and get a little bit of confidence out of them, then I think that's my job done.
Well, in Liverpool, obviously, Liverpool's obviously it's an important arts centre in Liverpool, and I remember when I was in uni, and you had to go and you did your songwriting and all that, and you had to go and showcase them. And there's a guest of ours who's coming on in a few weeks. He was my sort of mentor that I had to go and speak to, and he'll be on this podcast. And my mate was in Liverpool, and he walked in, and he walked in the room, and McCartney was sitting in the chair.
No way.
He was his mentor, so he was like,
Wow.
"Oh my God, I've got to show Paul McCartney my song, right?"
That's
so,
crazy,
so he played it to him, and he said Macca was just sitting there like that, and then he said, "So, what do you think?" And he went, "Just change that A to an A7," and that was it.
Wow. I mean, to get one mark like that, you know.
I think it's just the classic Beatles seventh. Just make that a seventh. There you go. I don't think I could function if I walked in the room. Paul McCartney was sitting there. Not.
It's one of those things you're not quite sure what you'd say. What if you could only ask one thing? You know, yes. It's really, I often think that when I go and see him now, when he's talking in between his songs, I think wouldn't it be good if he just did kind of a thing where he just talks, kind of doesn't play any songs, just tells a bunch of stories to an audience. That's something I'd like to tick off my list before whilst we still got him.
Yeah. A couple of people I know, they live in France now. They got engaged on the stage with McCartney. I don't know if it was something he was involved in the tour, but they kind of went on the stage, and Macca was saying, and they got engaged on the stage with Paul McCartney. I've got some pictures of it somewhere. They live in France. The French. They live in France, and they've opened like a Beatles restaurant cafe in France, and like the Hard Day's Night Hotel, they've got the music which is kind of hanging down from the ceiling. They've kind of adopted that in their restaurant as well. So I'll have to show you those pictures, Sam. Yeah, we spoke to them after the show, and then we kind of chatted to them for a number of years. They keep saying, "Come out," but you never know. One day we might get on an easy jet and go to Bordeaux.
We might have our own Beatles restaurant. Hey,
you never know. And we'll have to bring our Macca in for a gig.
Get George in. Get George to do a few songs.
I'll come in and do a few songs.
A particular song that you like to perform?
I got songs that I don't look forward to that much in the set.
That's more interesting. I find that's the ones I find. Like, what's the
like what?
Day Tripper?
There's the ones that the ones that are just. I mean, Hey Jude. You ask anyone that plays in the Beatles band if they have to do Hey Jude again. I love doing it. It's one of my. It never gets old for me, but the ending takes a while sometimes. Probably get back. Get back. Kind of. It's not the most fun song to play. It's a good song, but it's not one I look forward to in the set. Probably the ones that I really look forward to are because I quite like the later stuff. So Don't Let Me Down, Back in the USSR. I love doing Gently Weeps. I love the bass line in Gently Weeps. I think it's one of my favourite McCartney bass lines. And then early stuff, probably my favourite ones to do in the early set. Probably I like doing stuff off of Hard Day's Night. So Hard Day's Night is one of my favourite Beatles albums. I think it's just an amazing pop album. And If I Fail, Tell Me Why, and there's one more off that album that I really like playing as well. I can't think of it. But
is it The Night Before?
Yeah. The Night Before. Yeah, I think Night Before is Help, isn't it?
Is that Help?
Yeah. But look, they're all fun to do. To get paid to actually play Beatles music is just a bit of a dream, really. So although I just do it part time, it's just an amazing thing to be able to go out at weekends and put your Beatles suit on, put your wig on, and give people a relatively close experience, I suppose, to the Beatles. Always trying to improve, It's the voice.
What about Wings? What about the Wings songs? We had Danny Gomez on a couple of months ago. He's from Dallas, and he's obsessed with Live and Let Die. Oh, he loves Live and Let Die. Probably one of the greatest Bond films, in my opinion, as well. But what's your favourite Wings song?
I love. So actually, this isn't Wings. You know, it's hard. So I reckon probably Wings wise, I love. There's a song called. I've got to name it. Little Lamb Dragonfly. I think that's what it's called. It's off of Red Rose Speedway, I believe. It's a really amazing song. It's quite long, but it's got so many beautiful little changes in it. But obviously, Band on the Run. What a great album! You know, Jet. Jet's a classic. I love Jet. But really, to be honest with you, the best thing that McCartney's ever released in my mind is Ram. Like Ram is just a masterpiece, start to finish. I love every track on the album. You know, the Too Many People, that track that's kind of aimed at Lennon, Uncle Albert. There's just so many great songs on that album. Backseat of My Car, I think it's the last track. I could talk for ages about that album. But yeah, Wings wise, I've got to say probably, you know, Band on the Run has got to be up there with the best Wings album, I suppose.
What album was what one to do? I was like, Let It Roll. Is that it? Let It Roll. Is that?
So that's off of a Band on the Run, yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, great song.
It's got a great riff. Now. Did he play those riffs, you think? Or was his other guitarist?
I don't know. If you see some of the footage of when they was in the studio doing those sessions, they've got a full band. So I don't know. I don't think I'm probably going to be corrected by a friend or something after this if somebody ends up watching it. But I don't think he played it on the record. He definitely plays it live. He always picks up the guitar for that song and has a McCartney moment on the guitar. But I would imagine somebody else played it actually on the record.
He's proper into sound. I've seen a video of him a while back, and he was playing glasses, just like water in. He was doing all sorts of crazy.
Yeah, I think when Chaos and Creation came out, he did a session at Abbey Road, and I think that's where that was from, actually.
Right.
Yeah, I think so.
It's just crazy, isn't it? How he gets involved in most things. I tell you what might be quite interesting. There's a new film. Is it from the Let It Be years? It'd be quite interesting to see because there's a few trailers being released, and it looks quite interesting to see the mindset at that point in the Beatles' career, because it's the last album, virtually the last things that they've done. It'll be interesting to see how that comes across on video, on film, really, because there's a lot of stories, isn't there, about how the Beatles finished and how fell out and they didn't speak for years, but I bet it doesn't come across like that.
No, I've seen the trailer, and the trailer paints the opposite picture, really. It looks like they're all really happy. I think the most interesting thing about that film is going to be getting an insight into some of the gear they used and stuff, and actually from a completely different point, you know, what they're wearing. You might find that after that film comes out, when you go see a Beatles band, there's some new outfits in that final set. But no, it's going to be great. This isn't might not be a popular opinion, but I'm not a massive fan of that album. I don't know what it is. It feels very thrown together because it was really, wasn't it? It was recorded completely different to everything else. And Abbey Road for me is my kind of all-time Beatles masterpiece. There's some great tracks on it, Let It Be, but it's not up there with one of my most played Beatles albums. But it'll be a really good. Some of the footage just looks amazing, and the quality of it. So I'll definitely be in the cinema watching it.
Because they now and again you do get these big releases. They did obviously the live thing, and they did a big premiere, didn't they, a couple of years ago? So I think you'll get that again, which is great because for Beatles fans, and it's good because younger generations can hopefully get into the Beatles as well and start appreciaing what they did. But you're right about the last. It's just something not quite right about that Let It Be album, is there?
Yeah,
I don't. It probably the Phil Spector wall of sound didn't do it any help, and the lack of George Martin. But the Abbey Road album, I've always said to Sam, the end of the Abbey Road for me is probably the greatest recorded piece of music from Golden Slumbers to the end.
Yeah,
is the greatest piece of music ever recorded in the history of music for me. I could never get bored of listening to that from that piano. It's when the bass kicks in, boom. It's just good.
Yeah, no, it's incredible. Agreed.
I think it's there. So the whole McCartney thing is obviously you say it's new to you, but you are throwing yourself well in there, and that's good.
Yeah, well, I'm just very conscious of the fact there's a lot of people out there doing it that are better, But I'm still quite young in terms of kind of how many years I've got doing it. I put a lot of time into it. I've been gigging quite a lot, prior to the lockdown and stuff, when COVID came. But I'm really excited to start gigging again because I'm a lefty now. I've had loads of more kind of practice at home. But my goal is to just gig as much as possible eventually. I've got a job which I love, so I'll always kind of be my job Monday to Friday. But if I can start getting some theatre work, playing overseas, just playing with as many Beatles bands as possible, and just really my focus is just to get as good as I possibly can to make sure that when I do turn up with a Beatles band, I know my stuff, and whoever's watching them and whatever the Beatles band is, gets good feedback and stuff. But because I'm such a massive McCartney fan, obviously one day I'd love to do a McCartney show. The idea of doing Wings Over America show is the dream, really. But like I said, constantly practicing still every night. I literally just play over backing tracks. I record my audio on my phone. If I've got a harmony that's gone out, I do it again. So it keeps me busy. It actually just stops me from going mad from being locked in for so long and watching TV. So I'm happy.
And did you play in bands before this? Were you always playing music? Is that something you've done from a young age?
Yeah, I've always played in bands, like originals bands. I started learning guitar when I was 8. Did my grades and then stopped doing my grades when I discovered the internet and Tab and punk bands and stuff. So yeah, it's always been a huge part of growing up. But I've probably never enjoyed it as much as I do now, getting really kind of stuck into learning the Beatles work and knowing you can make money out of it, and knowing that I could potentially be doing this for another 20, 30 years is just really exciting. So yeah, the Beatles stuff is my absolute focus, but I do like writing songs as well.
And I've noticed you've got a lot of tattoos. Have you got a McCartney tattoo?
Yeah, it's pretty funny because I'm on cover. I've got all my torso and stuff done, but yeah, my first tattoo was Golden Slumbers actually, so it's on my arm there. Yeah, so I got that when I was a bit younger. But it's really frustrating though, because for the Beatles gigs and stuff, obviously I need to kind of cover up. I'm not wearing sleeves. That's why you should never get tattoos on your neck or anything, because you can't cover them up. Mind you, not everyone wants to play in a Beatles band.
Unless Paul has a mental breakdown and starts tattooing himself at the grand old age of whatever he is, you might be ahead of the game here, George.
That's it. The tattoo punk rock Paul.
If tell you what, if Sam comes back from Florida with a tattoo on his neck, it's not going to do it's not going to do any.
I'm thinking a big Disney around here, a big logo like that. Yeah, saw me double cheek then as well.
Mickey Mouse.
Yeah, big Mickey Mouse on my chest. Yeah,
love it.
We'll see. Guys, we are coming to the end of this SCE Live podcast, so please do make sure that you follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, the whole lot. I said Twitch before. I'm tempted with Twitch, Chris. I've got a Twitch. There we go. There it is again. George, for the people at home, where do they follow you on social media?
Yeah, so I'm mainly Instagram, to be honest. So I don't really have a YouTube account. I probably should, but I use Instagram as the easiest thing for me, and putting out short videos and stuff. So yeah, just my Instagram is McCartney_GK. The GK is because my name's George King. So yeah, just search McCartney_GK, and yeah, if you can follow me, that would be great. I post regular videos like every day. I do lots of collaborations. I've done some stuff with the George from the Love Beatles in France, and I've got a friend that I do a Beatles duo with that we've just started, which is going to be quite a big thing for me moving forward. I think just a stripped down version of the Beatles. So yeah, come and find me on Instagram if you want me to play some songs.
George, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us. It's been an absolutely fantastic podcast. Thank you very much.
No worries, I've enjoyed it. Time for pizza now. So yeah, nice one.
Pizza and wine. He does like a drink on a Friday, so just to unwind. I know this. Likes a little wine on a Friday.
Go and enjoy it. Go and enjoy it. Guys, that's been another edition of the SCE Live podcast. Make sure to tune in next week with another fantastic guest. In the meantime, stay safe out there, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye now.